go straight into the conversation for today, where we're talking about navigating the next generation, the next gen talent landscape. We have Mr. Marcus Oteng. He's a data-driven HR professional with a wealth of experience in recruitment, and he specializes in HR compensation and salary survey analysis, HR audits, competency frameworks, talent acquisition and management, as well as learning and development. He's the left, looking sharp in the red shirt. Marcus, hi. Great. And then we have Mr. Felix Tetteh Agbo. He's the unit head of learning and development at Learning HR. He possesses extensive expertise across diverse HR fields, such as recruitment, payroll, training, outsourcing, compensation analysis, HR audits, and learning and development. We're so excited to have you here, Mr. Agbo. He's on the right, looking sharp in white. Hi, Felix. So, gentlemen, the conversation is closed. Here, the members of HR Universe to discuss navigating the next gen talent landscape.
I'm excited to discuss this very intriguing topic, navigating the next gen talent landscape.
So, Marcus, what do you think are the values of these various generations? How does that set them apart? And then also, what do they look out for when you're sourcing for talents for these categories of employees?
Okay, so even before we start with their values, it is worth noting that they are impacted by the situations around them. So you spoke about the traditionals or the baby boomers. So these were eras where the World War was coming to an end. So you'd find them very much interested in stability because there were wars around that time and then things were in chaos. And so they want stability. You'd find out they want team. They like to work in team because you can never beat war without working in team. And so you realize that these factors has a way of impacting their values and perspective. So the question asked earlier with regards to how they have
various generations, so like Gen X's today, so that's the range of say 59 years to the 44 years. What are some of their values, their characteristics that separates them from, let's say, the Gen Ys, for instance?
So interesting. I think I would want to touch on just two of the generations. So the Generation Z and also the millennials. I think we are millennials, or?
Yeah, the Gen Ys.
You know, I think you look like, okay, let's just end it. Okay, I was going to just talk about
Gen Y and then the Gen Zs, as you mentioned.
Okay,
so the millennials and then the Gen Zs. So what do you think are the differences in values?
So for the, I want to start with the Gen Zs. So with the Gen Zs, they are very sensitive, and you can understand why. They are in a community, or they find themselves in a community where they see a lot of things happening on social media, and they are very affected of whatever is happening. And so we are in Ghana, and we know what's happening in Ukraine. And sometimes some sad images being shared on the social media, which affects the way you feel. So you find them very emotional or sensitive. They are also open-minded because they are exposed to diverse culture. You can be in Ghana and be watching. I think I watched one video of a man who said he was Indian by watching this Indian station.
So just because of watching that station, he feels like
he's Indian.
He identifies as Indian.
Yes.
So imagine recruiting someone like that into the workspace.
You cannot imagine. I'm sure we'll delve into a lot of examples when we go forward. But so I just mentioned two of the values for the Gen Zs. So they are open-minded, and they are sensitive, and also they are also very creative with whatever is going on. And now, when you look at the millennials are they are risk takers. Some also say that they are self-centered.
A bit. Why do you say that?
Well, I think they appear to be in a dispensation where the nuclear family reigns. So I think the world is shifting gradually from the extended family to the nuclear family. And I think that's very inward looking.
Can one also say that the Gen the millennials are more focused on personal and professional growth as to where the baby boomers, for instance, were focused on teamwork, longevity, job stability. So you have, say, a headmaster in the past working in the job for, say, 35 years, 40 years.
That doesn't want to move.
Finds pride in that, and so wants to be there for that number of years. You get
Yes.
it? As compared to the millennials, where in the next 2-3 years they want something more exciting, something new. They are more personal development focused as compared to the other years. Right. So in all these things, we've come to an era where technology cannot be sidelined when it comes to everything we do in business and in talent acquisition, in the talent landscape, in the talent market as well. We find ourselves having much to do without technology. What do you think technology's role has been in attracting talent, managing talent in today's dispensation?
So I would say technology has played a significant role in the way we manage talent now. So I can't imagine how talent would have been managed like in the olden days during COVID. People were asked to work from home. How were you going to manage such a talent if it wasn't for the inception of technology? And after the COVID situation, it has been something that we've carried along. So this is just an example of how much technology has affected how to manage talent. And so you have some applications like the Office 365 that comes with the full package. Not that I'm marketing Office 365, but it comes with a full package where you're able to check attendance, you're able to check performance, you're able to check daily tasks. You also have some technology tools like the Zoom that we are even using for this particular chit chat, which helps you to engage people, video calls, and it has actually reduced the troubles we go into have conferences. Gone were the days where you had to travel all the way to India to have a conference. Now you could stay in the comfort of your homes and be involved in conferences. And I think it's been good. One of the best things to ever happen to the world or to humanity is technology. And I believe that it has shaped the way we have managed talent.
Right. In today's landscape as well, you realize that the conversation everywhere is AI. And AI this, AI that, AI this, AI that. In trying to go through your talent acquisition strategies, from sourcing, from advertising, what role do you think AI is playing currently in that phase of work when it comes to talent acquisition? What do you think AI is the role of AI in such activities at the moment?
So I'll say gradually AI is replacing the recruiter.
Really?
Yes.
I bet to differ.
Yes, it is. You would have AI now assisting in sourcing.
Okay. How so?
So you have a computer-generated keywords to generate some of the keywords you'd want to find on a particular candidate, and so it will be noting all those keywords on their CVs or on their profiles, and it can do this for about over 100,000 CVs in a second.
Wow.
And you would have to employ like a house of recruiters to do that work.
Yeah.
But AI simplifies this and does this at the bottom of a click.
Yeah. I've seen very rapidly where HR professionals or practitioners rely on AI now to even write JDs for roles, and they just pick it up, and you realize that the kind of responsibilities, duties, roles that this AI writes for job descriptions per se might not be a good fit for what the talent coming in is actually coming to do. Have you ever had experience of such things, and what do you think about this?
So yes, I remember on one time, so this is the first example. So one time we had a client come in to us and wanted us to recruit a salesperson. And now I realized that the qualification that the job description specified was not from our part of the world.
Wow.
Yes, so I asked myself, this is purely AI or this is purely ChatGPT. Now, what we should do as human beings is that AI is not a total answer, or is not a complete replacement for human beings. It definitely lacks the human input. And so as HR professionals, even as we are leveraging on this advantage of technology, we should do much as possible to include the human part. So AI does not work in linear. So if you want to develop a job description which is helped by AI, you should do well to at least review it to include some of the specifics that you look for at, or you look at Lene. And so if it's the company culture that you want to identify in the person on the job description, the AI would not know the company culture of the organization. And so you would want to review that particular document to include some of these specifics. And it gives a perfect blend of what a correct job description should be.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we want to be able to marry what the requirements of the role is to what the person is coming to do. And so it will be very disheartening to get it amiss. And you wouldn't achieve a best fit for any particular role if you do not take the time and then the space to, as the hiring manager, to go through what the requirements are and then marry it to what the person is going to do.
Sure.
So moving on, I want us to discuss a bit on social media. And currently, it is something that has also come to shape the way we do work, the way we interact with each other. Someone might say that it's even removing human interactions face to face and making people more phone or technology puppets than they should be. But what do you think social media has contributed to how we attract and effectively engage the next generation of talent?
Okay, so from the beginning, we mentioned that one of the values of this current dispensation or generation is open-mindedness and also sensitivity. And they consume a lot of content on social media. So now you can find that the social media or the social media platform is now more powerful than even the television and the radio. So you would have radios now buy into social media by now streaming their programs. Even though it's on radio, they stream it live on social media, on your YouTubes and then WhatsApp. Did I say WhatsApp? They stream it on the YouTubes and the Facebook and the IGs. Okay. And so it shows you how powerful social media is and the reach that it carries. Yeah. Now, it goes beyond what the traditional or the orthodox media platforms do, like the television and the radios. And so if you want to reach a wider pool of people, you cannot do without social media. You can never do without social media. And so you want to take full advantage of the social media to reach the unlimited as a pool of people watching from the social media. Now, one other thing that employers also do well to project is the company culture and the brand positioning. Yeah. Most of the time, you find job seekers not knowing what is going on in an organization, and they only rely on what they hear and what they see, maybe from a third party. And so what some of the businesses are trying to do is to leverage on this wide coverage of the social media to advertise their brand, to let people know what their culture is, what they stand for, what is their values. So, for instance, at Lene, we always do our happy hour. We don't only work hard, we also play hard as well. And we want people to know that that's what we do. Mm-hmm. And so we work hard. Of course, our successes is spread out. But also, when it's time for a happy hour, you would see the kind of fun we have. Now, this is not just for clout seeking. We want people or potential employees who are outside to know what it feels like to be a staff of Lene. Mm-hmm. So it's not all about working hard. We also find time to play hard. And how do we communicate this? Through the social media. So I think the social media has been one of the good mediums through which we are able to sell our brand as an organization. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Marcus. I think to add a little bit to that, we can say that every company currently has a social media handle, don't they? And it's very evident what it does for a lot of businesses. So much so that, like you touched on, the fact that people are able to see through the business or to see into the business through the lenses of the social media platforms that they operate. So it adds on to the company's branding, one might say. It also gives you a sense of what you get if you're able to join. And just like if you marry it to what you alluded to, that the Gen Zs are more sensitive currently. They want a place where they can be creative. They want a place where they can express themselves.
They can have fun.
They can have fun, so to speak. Okay, and that is how you can get more from them in their era, in their generation. So what a social media, I believe, does is to expose the company to the talent market, so that you put yourself as our employer of choice that everyone would want to work with and be part of. I think these are very insightful nuggets that you've shared with us. Now, we have touched on how to assess the various generations in the world of work at the moment. We've touched on what kind of strategies are out there now to be able to bring them in. Now let's look at bringing them in, and now they are part of us, working with us. What are some of the challenges that companies are currently facing in retaining such talent? And I speak on the millennials, the Gen Zs. What are some of the challenges that companies will be facing in retaining such talent?
So this is a very interesting question, and I don't believe there's one fit answer for all for this question, because the human needs are diverse, and so what you think is the need for A wouldn't be what B needs. But of course, thank God for research and thank God for data. Data has helped us to understand what a group of people think. Now, putting together, in order to understand how to manage such talent or how to keep them and keep them motivated, you want to look at your compensation strategy. Now, a compensation strategy is made up of 5 key components. So you are looking at the salary bits, you are looking at the benefits, you are looking at the employee wellness or well-being, employee well-being. You're also looking out for recognition, and the final one is learning and development. Now, depending on the value of a particular generation, you can increase on a strategy, on a particular component on a strategy. So for instance, for a Gen Z who is so much interested in, who is so much sensitive and is interested in employee wellness, or someone would say recently there's been so much news about someone's emotional issues. They said emotional breakdown. What they call it.
So I think the person felt a bit overwhelmed. And went through, I think, a mental distress or something, and that because of that, person was not able to respond to work and all that, was not coming to work as frequently as possible.
So these are some of the things that they go through, and so they are looking for an organization that can help them cope with such of their problems. And so it's not for anything that you would have a Gen Z open up to an opportunity that would have him work about 3 times at the workspace and then work 2 days off the workspace. So that means 2 days off the company premises. That's work from home. They would prefer such an organization who might not be paying relatively high to an organization who will be paying relatively high but will require you to be at the offices for 5 days in a week. So these are some of the things that you want to pay particular attention to. What is the Gen Z looking out for? Are they looking out for employee wellness? Are they looking out for developments? Are they looking out for benefits? So I would say, for instance, we spoke about the millennials, and these are ambitious people who look to develop. Now, for such a group, you would want to put in place a strategy or a compensation strategy that would invest more in their development. So are you providing opportunities for them to grow? Are you providing them opportunities for them to go and study? Are you giving them benefits like go and study maybe in Canada, like you always want to?
Yeah.
So I think some of these things should be taken into perspective, taken into consideration their values, and it will help you to manage how to maintain them.
So that brings me to a very interesting question on the chat box. And I have a question. The person is saying, Gen Zs love soft life, as you put it. What's your one advice, you would give to be able to manage these things? And I think there's actually a misconception that Gen Zs like soft life. I think we are in a dispensation where this is what they are exposed to, and we can't do without it.
Yeah.
Before, we didn't have what we call the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Snapchats. And so you didn't have the opportunity to see what someone is doing elsewhere. Now we live in a world where these things are open to all to see. And so once you're exposed to it, you're enticed to be like that. You see what benefits your colleagues are receiving from other places, and you want to also be exposed to that. So bringing that to the world of work and having that kind of mindset as an HR person, how do you think we can manage that soft life of these Gen Zs?
Well,
and I don't want to limit it to Gen Zs, but even with the millennials, how would you manage that?
Would you blame them? I remember I had this discussion with my lecturer, my project coordinator, and I was supposed to write my thesis, and I was supposed to reference about close to 10 books. Now I just took my laptop, searched for the books on that particular topic, and then I got about almost 1,000 books. I had to select from them and then make the right choices for my thesis. Now, my lecturer told me that for him, he would have to go to BAM Library, go and climb the tallest shelf, and then pick out 10 books, carry them on their head. This is not soft life. This is actually hard. No, but compared to what they are feeling, this is the kind of exposure they've been open to. And so they don't see. So it's not really their fault. I want to share an example. I think one of those times I was interviewing a Gen Z. It was for a customer service position. Then my question was like, how do you handle pressure? Then she snapped. Me, pressure. Not me at all. I don't like pressure at all. I don't like pressure. I was so surprised. I was like, really? Tell me more. Then she kept on blabbing. So I was like, oh, nice. But in my head, I was like, oh, you are gone. That's exactly how they relate to some of these pressures. Now, as I said, you don't want to really fault them because they've been exposed to new ways of doing things. You don't necessarily have to sweat to produce results. All you have to do is that you have to work smart. So now the bone of contention now is not just working hard, but showing results. Once they're able to show results and they are able to show the results, even what we term is not working hard, why should we complain? Mr. Agbo,
not at all. There's nothing to complain about. Yeah, and then to I think these are very interesting insights you've given, but to add to that as well, I think once you know what the kind or the category of talents you have in your workplace, it is easier to manage them, and it's easier to use that level of reward to get them to do the kind of work that you want them to do. So not just say they like soft life, they like travels and all that, but use that as incentives to drive the kind of performance that you need in your workplace. So if you're able to hit certain performance targets, you get some travel allowances, you get some work from home incentives, something to save the transport here and there, something to make them feel recognized, appreciated. So even recently, you saw that internally we had HR bring very innovative stuff where early birds, people who come to work early are rewarded. People who are able to bring innovative ideas are rewarded in cash, and sometimes they are recognized during stand-up meetings, KPIs, morning meetings, and all that. So I think these are very interesting ways you'll be able to manage and get the best out of your talents. Listen to what they're saying. Use what they want to also get the best out of them for the benefits of the organization as a whole.
Just to add a little, so I think one of the key ways of managing these talents is to intensify employee engagement. Now, an employee engagement would give the employer the opportunity to listen more to their grievances. And now, as I said again, it boils down to their values. They are sensitive, and sensitive people like to be listening to. And so you want to take every advantage to listen to their concerns, what's affecting their work, what's affecting them personally. How are you able to assist them, give out their best? Are you able to incentivize them by giving them opportunities to work from home? Not to say every organization has to do that, but if it is doable, if it is applicable to your organization, you want to find a way to motivate them by giving them some opportunities to work from home. You can use it as a recognition program and say anyone who wins the early bird actually gets maybe 2 days in a month to work from home. And trust me, everyone will be coming to work at 6 a.m.
Yeah. I think the key word here is what works for you.
Yeah.
And that's interesting bit brings me to the next question in our chat box. And this person is asking, are companies fully prepared for Gen Z workforce based on their demands? Are the companies really prepared for them?
Well, I can speak to the companies that I know. So I would say Lene is prepared.
Okay.
Because yes, right from COVID, we started work from home, and then it has not stopped. We are still working from home, and we are still achieving. So is it doable? Yes. And it's not just Lene. You have similar organizations doing same. I think I spoke with the HR of then Vodafone, and said even before the COVID came, they had sat down to put up a system to support work from home. So I try to say that even before COVID, an organization, of course, Lene also brought a conference to discuss the possibility of working from home even before COVID. So COVID just happened to us, but some organizations actually were thinking ahead of the curve to know that, to let it be known that it is possible to work from home. It is possible to incentivize your staff, your workers to give out their best, not necessarily stationed in the office. So these are some of the things that some organizations are doing to ensure that they retain such talents.
Yeah, Marcus, I think you're right. So in this current VUCA environment, this dispensation where we find ourselves in, where things are very volatile and uncertain, they are very fast-paced. I think for an organization, if you snooze, you lose. If you want to maintain or gain competitive advantage, you have to move with the times. And when I say this, I think we've touched on technology as a very key factor. And as we grow, as the environment keeps moving, globalization keeps expanding our reach and our targets. If you do not incorporate this in your workspace, change the paper kind of systems, the very rigid systems, and then bring in some technology, infuse some agility into the work that you do, you will lose the best talents, and you may not be able to catch up to the times. You know, in this time where people can be put on projects that really are not within their scope. You can have a front desk person trying to assist in an HR department. You can have, all these things enrich the kind of work that you give to a person, and it expands their knowledge. It expands their learnings. once you realize that there is an importance to bring your workers up to speed to the times, it will mean that you would also have to do a little bit of training. And so what are the new technologies and how are they able to use the new technology? What kind of training would they need? What kind of upskilling would they need, or multi-skilling would they need to be able to prepare? So I would say that if you're a company and in these times you're not set up to admit the kind of generation of workers we have today, I think we've fallen much behind, and you have to quickly realign your strategies to be able to admit them very easily. So our next question here is, what do you think are the most impactful ways to communicate company value and culture to the new generation of talent? The company values that we speak of, you know, every company, banks, HR firms, consultancies, FMCGs, they all have their values. And how do you communicate this to the next generation of talent once you're bringing them in, once you get them in? What are some of the strategies you can use to communicate these values to them?
So a wise man once said, I wish I could remember the name of the wise man. But he said that...
Mr. Agbo.
Yes, Mr. Agbo. So he said that people will always remember how you make them feel, but not what you tell them.
Okay.
So with that, I would say the best way to communicate your values to staff or to this new generation of talent is to communicate it in the form of actions. So if, for instance, one of your company values is family, and then you have that written boldly as a core value at your front desk, employees would want to feel that familyship in the organization.
Yeah.
So for instance, if someone's spouse passes or someone gets married, is the organization supporting, is the organization providing that family shield?
Yeah.
Are they showing that value?
Yeah.
And so one of the ways of communicating, or the effective ways of communicating to staff or employees or this new generation, is not just by saying it with your mouth or just writing it or showing it as a plaque in front of your office or at your waiting room, but they want to see you walk the talk.
Okay.
They want to see you, if your one of your core values is dedication, they want to see dedication right from the top to the bottom. If it is teamwork, they want to see everyone in the organization working as a team. They don't want to see if there is success is one person, if there is a problem it is another person. They want to see that value being lived, just as is stated on the core value placard or something.
Yeah, I think that reminds me of a time where, my previous workplace, it was a bank, and so they valued a lot customer satisfaction. And so right on the onset, during orientation, it is just, spoken about. But I think one thing that was key that it did was to use employee testimonials.
Okay.
So they had recordings of people who have demonstrated that level of customer satisfaction to the extent that the customers came back and then, gave them applause, celebrated them. And because of that, the company also did something special for them, monetary and then also other recognition. So anybody who comes and then as part of your orientation, you go through this video where somebody speaks and say, this is what I enjoyed, this is how it benefited me, I was able to pay my fees, I was able to do this and that. So I think stories, documenting these stories and playing it over and over again reminds people and it imprints that level of value that the organization admires into the new crop of workers or the generation that comes into the workplace.
That's a good one.
Yes. So I think we've discussed quite a number of issues when it comes to this topic. Very insightful thoughts there shared. And then the questions that are coming in are really interesting as well. Okay, I'll pick at least 2 questions more so that we can wrap up. What's the most important thing you've learned from working with or managing Gen Z talent? And how has it changed your approach to leadership or talent development? One interesting thing or you've learned from working with or managing Gen Z talent.
So, one of the things that I've picked up working with this generation, when I say this generation, it almost feels like I'm very old.
But you're part of it. You're part of it.
Anyway, let me still continue.
Right.
This generation, one of the things I've picked from is not every action that may initially seem disrespectful is actually a disrespect.
Okay.
So, for instance, a Gen Z could say maybe hi with the left hand, or maybe give you something, pass something over to you with the left hand. If it's coming from my house, where
you go chop slap.
yes, you will
Simple.
chop slap, because it's seen as a way of disrespect, or
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
gross disrespect
Yeah.
in some language.
In some-
But for them, they don't see it as disrespect, but like just go with the flow.
Yeah.
So what I've come to understand, or what I've learned working with this crop of generation, is that you don't have to always assume that they mean disrespectful. What I've come to understand is that you have to understand them. The only way you can get the best out of them is to understand. You would have to find a way to understand and speak their language.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, Lene, now we don't say job vacancy. What do we say?
Jobs day for you.
Jobs day for you.
Or jobs day here.
Jobs day
Speak
here.
their language.
Yes.
Right, that's interesting. So I think I have another experience I want to share. When I took up this new role in this new department, I was blessed with a very youthful team. And I think in the first 2-3 months of work, I kept getting notifications or links for me to join. And it is for, so say we have planner that we put in our to-do. The next minute I see another link is sent for another way to put in our to-do. The next minute I see another link is sent for me to work on, say, proposals on that particular portal. And at this point I was like, what is this?
going on?
What is going on? So, and he's here, you can testify to that. So I was like, why? The work has not been done. You're just sending me links and new ways of doing things. Meanwhile, what I need you to do, the first one was okay. But I quickly realized as a leader, if you do not accommodate and nurture that creativity, that innovative character in your subordinates, you might stifle their growth.
Yeah.
Okay. So in as much as you give room for all these things, you should be able to direct them to what is important, to what we should look at now, and then look at the other things later. So currently, every new thing that has been brought, we are using. But when they started, we know when to bring it and then when not to. So it is quite interesting when it comes to how to manage it and change your leadership style to suit them. Okay, it's a.
Do you have more questions?
Right. This is a specific question. It's a specific question to the man in the red shirt. So this person is asking, if you could create a new job title for a Gen Zer, what would it be? I think let's make it specific a bit interesting. So we have the traditional customer service role. So imagine you're trying to create an interesting role for a Gen Z. What would you call this?
Okay, so
In today's dispensation.
So customer service.
Yes.
Customer experience facilitator.
Hey, what is facilitating?
Yeah, so you are facilitating the customer's
Experience. Beautiful.
So I saw one. You didn't ask me this question, but I'll share. So I saw one, and it caught my attention. So the old title was accounts manager.
Yeah.
And then the new title was customer success story manager.
What story are we writing?
I sat down. I was just looking at the title. Well, probably the person is supposed to manage the customers' successes or experiences with the organization and ensure that it is successful. So they are just trying to, you see, previously it's just a title and it's just given, but now they are trying to put the meaning of your duties in your title. So you are not just an account person managing the account, but you are supposed to ensure that the customer enjoys
and
the
gives that
service.
success story. Then your KPI is written.
Yes, KPI job title.
Beautiful. I think that's interesting. Do you have time for one more? I think I'm loving this. We can't close. Online.
But who asked the question for the one in red?
There's a specific question for you.
Yes.
I think the person wants to pick on you. Okay, there's a comment mixed with a question, mixed with another comment. So let me read it. So someone is saying, I think it is much harder for mainstream, non-creative organizations to accept and adjust with the Gen Zs. I think mainstream organizations should learn from the creative organization and agencies. These agencies live for Gen Zs, my 2 cents. I think that's interesting. Sometimes the oldies, when it comes to organizations and companies, tend to follow in their old ways in their title. So you have the HR. I'm even sure some companies still use personnel, even though personnel has expired.
Personnel manager.
But then you see the HRs, the marketing officers, and all this. But people are currently moving to the people, the talent acquisition, the culture, the learning and development,
employee experience manager.
So yes, so I think we can all learn from what these creative spaces are doing. Fortunately, unfortunately for us, their terrain is much fast-paced than ours, and so they try to find new ways, exciting ways to get the Gen Zs, and so that's their playing field, right? Very good stuff there.
Bottom line is that you are still a customer service officer.
They are all customer service. They even go as far as you hear directors and they are mid-level or even junior level. Yeah. It's very interesting now how the titles come about. Okay. Right, so as we wrap up, I think I have the final question that I have here that I'm going to pose to you. Let's bring it all together and say, what are the emerging trends and the future outlook when it comes to the current talent landscape? What are the current trends? What does the future hold for us or have for us?
So the future is bright. It's going to be challenging, but that's the good part of challenge. It makes it exciting. The fact that you know that it's going to be challenging, that means you are bracing yourself to solve those challenges or to scale those challenges.
Yeah.
So yes, the challenges are coming. There was COVID. Technology helped us scale that challenge, and then we are still going hard with and the good thing is that after you scale that challenge, it helps you to scale up. So you are scaling the challenge at the same time you are scaling up. So COVID, even though brought a halt to the workspace, it also brought another way of reducing cost. So now you can actually have a whole supermarket and not even have a shop.
Yeah.
And that was a challenge. You don't know how, you wouldn't have been able to explain this to your grandmother that I'm a store owner. The next question he will ask you, store nowhere. Or where did the store?
Yeah.
But now it is possible. So it was a challenge then, but now it's not so much of a challenge.
Yeah.
So one of the ways we can actually we can embrace the future is to also embrace technology. And AI is the way. Whether you like it or not, AI is the way. A lot of people are abusing it, but doesn't mean that it is not the way.
Yeah.
It is the way. What you have to do is that you have to find a way to work with it. People had issues working with computers. They actually thought computers were coming to take their jobs.
Yeah. It's actually
But-
creating more jobs
Exactly.
for us. Yeah.
So the future for talent management is embracing technology. And it is for no reason why, it's not for any reason why Lene is now becoming a tech company, HR tech company. So we are also ready for the future. We are geared up for the challenges that we are going to face, and we hope. And on that note, I want to use this to sell. So we've said a lot of things.
Yeah.
Work from home. But you see, you can't do all these things without policies.
Yeah.
They are like your guidelines to ensure that people follow whatever they lay down procedures. And so, because you've heard people are doing work from home, sorry, so this is my company. We are working from home. You will see your general manager in the market selling.
When he's supposed to be working.
Yes. So you should have policies to guide some of these transitions. And that is where Lene comes in. We are able to develop some of these policies to assist you
With the implementation.
with the implementation. It will be like a guiding tool for you to know. So you know the do's and the don'ts of working from home.
Yeah.
Technology is not all about working from home, but of course it's the obvious one now.
The two.
Yes.
I think you've touched on the salient points there when it comes to the future of work. And it's to say that it has changed, it has come a long way, but it's not going to go back. It's going to change further. It's going to become more complicated. And we have to brace ourselves for it. We have to leverage upon the new things that come as we go up, as we scale. Once we are able to scale up, we actually grow as a business, just like Marcus indicated. And I think at the end of the day, it will be good for it and not worse off, right?
Yeah.
So, my online participants or attendees, are there any other questions you want us to touch on before we wrap up for today's chit chat? Right. So I think we've done justice to the topic. What do you think?
I think so.
We have. And I only wish to say that this is the first of many. And much thanks to the HR Focus team for having us. We hope to come next time to also, share our 2 bits or 2 cents on other very engaging, interesting topics. Perhaps next time you'll be here and I'll be here.
Sure.
And I'll talk about L&D.
Maybe I could,
and you talk about
I
recruitment.
could be at the other side. I could be online and
You could even be online.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Oh,
So
if you want to have another person, maybe a female on the chit chat.
that would be interesting.
Yeah.
We have varying points from different perspectives. So I would encourage you all to watch out for this space.
Yeah.
For future very interesting topics as this. Also feel free to jot down your questions in advance so that we can add that to the conversation next time to make this very informative and very relevant to the various participants we have here today. Charlie, I think you've been great.
Sure.